No, I think they're just doing it during the closing.
Nobody signed up for the special cow or the regular meeting, just
Okay.
Oh, nice. Well, then that makes things
Makes that easier.
that easier. So just set that right there for now. Well, that being the case, then when we're ready,
Okay. Do we have the lights on?
I'm just waiting for a thumbs up from.
All right, we'll get started. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you to tonight's Columbus Common Council Committee of the Whole special meeting. It is Tuesday, March 19th, 6:30 p.m. And could I please have a roll call?
Finkler. Here. Gray.
Present.
Hammer.
Here.
Motive. Present. Reed.
Here.
Relke.
Present.
Steiner.
Here.
Acknowledge this meeting was posted and noticed according to law.
Okay, thank you. First item on the agenda is to approve the agenda.
Move to approve.
Great.
I have a
Sorry.
motion from Alder Finkler and a second from Alder Gray. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And it doesn't look like we had anybody who signed up for citizen comments at this meeting. Next item on the agenda is to consider confirming the mayor's appointment of Susan Kane as city clerk. Is everybody comfortable moving that forward to the next meeting for the vote? Yes. Okay. Next item on the agenda is to review the proposed employment agreement with the selected city administrator candidate. Is there any discussion on this, or are we comfortable moving that forward as well? Yes. Okay. And then the last item on the agenda is to discuss the possible waiver of food truck fees for the Odd Food Truck Fest on May 11th at Fireman's Park. Matt?
I can give a little background on this. So our fee structure requires $50 for a food truck license. The organizers for this event have contacted us that they're having trouble recruiting out-of-community vendors to participate in this, with the reality that they would probably be a one-time vendor, and that the organizers of the event are charging a fee for participation as a food vendor, and so the added license fee of the $50 is kind of prohibiting them from recruiting. We put this on for your discussion, and whether you want to forward it for further discussion at the council is in your court.
Okay, thank you. Any thoughts? Alder Steiner?
I'm not for waiving the fee. It kind of defeats the purpose of having the fee in general. If they're one-time, vendors here, that's fine. $50 isn't a whole heck of a lot, unless Oddfellows are charging a massive amount. I'm not saying they are, but if $50 is what's really breaking them from getting anyone here, it's probably not on our end. That's nominal. It's barely covering the fuel that it's going to take them to get here. So I really don't think it's something we should be doing. Just keep the fee.
Alder Reed?
Oh, thank you. I would like to have this, wait, so are we discussing now to
Yes.
vote on? Okay. I'm really fine either way. I don't want to have them with no license whatsoever. That sounds kind of inappropriate for the day. I'm wondering what the steps are for the license, what kind of paperwork they need to fill out.
It's just a standard, It's a standard application. They have to give us ID of who's running the truck that day for background check. And the $50 is for calendar year, so they could come back to another event with the same application.
Alder Gray?
So I would be in line with Alder Steiner. I don't see we shouldn't be waiving it for a specific event. Almost every time someone is operating a food truck in our community, it's for an event that's for our community. We don't waive fees for the HLPC's vendors. We don't waive fees for anything else. And this is an even more minor event than what some of our bigger events are that we don't waive fees for. So I don't think we should pick and play favorites, and I think we should just not move this forward.
Alder Finkler?
Is this for fundraising?
But almost every event is for fundraising.
The Oddfellows are charging a nominal fee to the vendors to cover their expense with recreation for the Fireman's Park rental of the grounds. So that's that's all the information I got.
Okay, so we don't know where the money raised is going to.
No, I do know they've got you approved their alcohol license, their picnic permit last month, so.
Okay.
They'll be selling beer.
Okay.
Alder Motive?
I don't think we should waive the fee, just because if this will be for a full calendar year, I would like to see them encouraged to come back for other events. So I'm not willing to waive it.
Alder Reed?
Oh, thank you. I'm also leaning against waiving the fee. I had a food vending license for several years, and I generally had to pay a couple $100 in Madison per event. So the $50 for a year of access sounds insanely reasonable.
So are we talking about not moving this forward at all then and just killing it here? Is that, we're in agreement on that?
Yes.
Okay. Then-
Alder Gray will make a motion to table the recommendation for waiving the fees for the Oddfellow Food Truck Fest.
Steiner can second.
Okay, have a motion from Alder Gray and a second from Alder Steiner. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion is tabled, or the item is tabled. And then the next item on the agenda is to adjourn.
Move to
Alder
adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion from Alder Finkler and a second from Alder Motive. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are adjourned.
With that, we will roll into the regular meeting for this evening, and I would like to welcome everybody.
Finkler.
Here.
Gray.
Present.
Hammer.
Here.
Motive.
Present.
Reed.
Here.
Relke.
Present.
Steiner.
Here.
If you would join me for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we have had notice of open meeting. And we might have, sorry.
Okay, thank you. And we have had notice of open meeting. And then I would look for a motion to approve tonight's agenda with the removal of item number 3.
Alder Motive will make a motion to approve tonight's agenda, omitting item number 3.
Gray seconds.
Okay, I have a motion by Alder Motif and a second by Alder Gray to approve the tonight's agenda with the removal of item 3. Is there any further discussion on this? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So under correspondence and communications, we didn't have anybody signed up for that, but I do have something to take care of this evening. So Della, if I could have you and your daughter, Della and your daughter, if you would come up, please. So this is an extreme honor for me to be able to do this, and gives me great joy to do this. This is hereby a proclamation honoring the late Fred Dart for the 51 years of service to the Columbus Fire Department. Whereas Chief Fred Dart was appointed to the Columbus Fire Department on December 17th, 1963, and whereas Chief Fred Dart had served many roles for the department from his beginning as a firefighter in 1963 to his promotion to captain in 1974, to assistant chief in 1975, and serving as fire chief from June 23rd, 1988 until September 5th, 2001. Then serving as firefighter and helping with fire inspections until his retirement on October 31st of 2014. And whereas Chief Fred Dart has served with dedication and bravery, often leaving his family and other plans, he had to respond to calls to ensure the safety and well-being of others in the community, as well as those that travel through. And whereas Chief Fred Dart was an important part of this department in leading men and women to serve Columbus, one of his passions in getting new apparatus was that he had the courage to be different by having multiple colored fire trucks in the fire station, which has helped Columbus be known in Wisconsin for having all different colors of fire trucks, while other fire chiefs just stayed with the red or slime yellow. So let us never forget his famous saying when asked, "How is he doing?" "Finer than a frog's hair." Therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Mayor Joseph Hammer, recognize March 20th, tomorrow, of 2024 as Fred Dart Day within the city of Columbus, Wisconsin. I hereby thank the family and friends of the late Chief Fred Dart for his dedication, hard work, and service to the Columbus Fire Department and the greater Columbus community for 51 years. Dated this day, 19th day of March 2024. So I challenge everybody tomorrow, when you're asked, "How are you doing?" it's finer than a frog's hair. Thanks to all our firefighters here tonight, too. Thank you.
Fred would not have done it without the men that worked and women that worked with him all those years. It was his life, his love.
Thank you.
Fred was quite a gentleman. He never in our passing did he not give me a hard time about anything and everything. So this was an honor. Okay, with that, we move on to approve the consent agenda, which is the council and committee minutes of the whole of March 5th, 2024.
Alder Rolke moves to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Alder Motif will second.
Okay, a motion by Alder Rolke and a second by Alder Motif to approve tonight's consent agenda. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then next on the agenda is to take action on confirming the mayor's appointment of Susan Kane as city clerk for the city of Columbus.
Alder Motif would like to make a motion to appoint Susan Kane as the city clerk.
Gray will second.
Okay, motion by Alder Motif and a second by Alder Gray to approve the appointment of Susan Kane as city clerk. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye. And congratulations.
And
Thank you.
opposed? All right.
Thank
that
you very
carries.
much.
Next is to approve the, consider and take action on the employment agreement with the selected candidate for city administrator position.
Alder Finkler moves to approve the employment agreement with the selected candidate for city administrator position.
Gray will second.
Okay, a motion by Alder Finkler and a second by Alder Gray to approve the employment agreement with selected candidate for city administrator position. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye. And congrats.
Opposed? Okay, congrats to Susan Kane and to Matt Amundson, our new city administrator. So now we have swearing in of such items.
Would you please rise? Okay. Substitute that.
Okay. So, repeat after me. I, Susan Kane,
I, Susan Kane,
have been appointed to the office of city clerk,
having been appointed to the office of city clerk,
but have not yet entered upon the duties thereof,
but have not yet entered upon the duties thereof,
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability. So
and will
help me.
faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability.
So help me God. Thank you. Now we'll do him. Okay. I, Matt Amundson,
I, Matt Amundson,
having been appointed to the office of city administrator,
having been appointed to the office of city administrator,
but have not yet entered upon the duties thereof,
but have not yet entered upon the duties thereof,
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully discharge the duties
and will faithfully discharge the duties
of said office to the best of my ability.
of said office to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Susan. Good?
You got it?
All right. Here, I'll give you that. All right, thank you. All right. Okay, next on the agenda is to consider and take action on ordinance 78824, an ordinance to repeal section 98-317D and to create section 98-319 of the City of Columbus Code of Ordinances concerning all-terrain vehicles and utility terrain vehicles.
Alder Rolke moves to approve ordinance 788-24, an ordinance to repeal section 98-317D and to create section 98-319 of the City of Columbus Code of Ordinances concerning all-terrain vehicles and utility terrain vehicles.
Second.
Don't forget your three-step process.
Oh, okay,
Suspend the rules, then, yes.
okay, okay.
But you're fine so far, just go ahead and back up and do those two steps.
Okay, so first of all, just guide me through this because I don't have it in front of me. We are waiving
Suspend the rules.
to suspend the rules. So I would look for a motion to suspend the rules.
Alder Gray moves to suspend the rules.
Motive will second.
A motion by Alder Gray and a second by Alder Motif to suspend the rules.
Is that a roll call?
And then, a roll call.
You don't need a roll
You
call.
don't need a roll call? Just all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then I would look for a motion to waive the reading of said.
Alder Steiner will make a motion to waive the readings.
Second?
Motion by Alder Steiner and a second by Alder Finkler to waive the reading. Is there any further discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now we have, and just remind me who made the initial motion for,
Amy and then me.
okay, Amy and what?
Me.
Okay. Then motion by Alder Rolke and a second by Alder Finkler to approve ordinance 788-24.
788, yep. No, I'm moving ahead.
No, that's fine. So 788-24. So any further discussion on this? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Thank you.
so we'll have to do the same thing for the next one, so. All right, then the next is to, what was the first part again? Just as a
Waive.
reminder.
It's
Suspend the rules for ordinance 789-24.
Alder Gray moves to suspend the rules.
Alder Motif will second.
Okay, a motion from Alder Gray and a second from Alder Motif to suspend the rules. Next, I would look for a motion to waive the
Oh,
reading.
no, we need to vote.
Oh, yeah, jeez. Yep, I don't have it, yeah. Yep. Okay, any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Then next is to waive the reading of ordinance 789-24.
Alder Finkler moves to waive the reading of 789-24.
Alder Gray will second.
Okay, motion by Alder Finkler and a second by Alder Gray to waive the reading of 789-24. Any further discussion on this? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And now we would look for a motion to approve ordinance 789-24, an ordinance to repeal and recreate section 1419C3 of the City Code of Ordinances concerning applications for chicken licenses.
Alder Motif will make a motion to repeal and recreate section 1419C3 of the City Code of Ordinances concerning applications for chicken license and adopt ordinance 78924.
Alder
Second. Go ahead.
Alder Rolke will second.
Okay, a motion by Alder Motif and a second by Alder Rolke to approve ordinance 789-24. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, then next is to consider and take action on Resolution 224, which is the CDI resolution to support the LOPNOW application with the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation.
Alder Finkler moves to approve Resolution 224, CDI resolution to support LabNow.
Gray will second.
Okay, motion by Alder Finkler and a second by Alder Gray to approve Resolution 224, CDI resolution to support the LOPNOW. Any further discussion on this item? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is to consider approving the athletic field agreement with Columbus Area Youth Soccer Organization, also known as CASO.
Alder Rolke moves to approve the athletic field agreement with the Columbus Area Youth Soccer Organization, also known as CASO.
Reed seconds.
Okay, a motion by Alder Rolke and a second by Alder Reed to approve the athletic field agreement with CASO. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is to consider approving the athletic field agreement with Columbus Baseball Organization, also known as CBO.
Alder Roki will move to approve the athletic field agreement with the Columbus Baseball Organization, also known as CBO.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Roki and a second by Alder Finkler to approve the athletic field agreement with CBO. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. And then next is to consider approving the athletic field agreement with the Columbus Softball Association, also known as CSA.
Alder Finkler moves to approve the athletic field agreement with the Columbus Softball Association.
Steiner will second.
Okay, a motion by Alder Finkler and a second by Alder Steiner to approve the athletic field agreement with the Columbus Softball Association. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then next on the agenda is to approve the claims in the amount of $360,000, or $360,793.55.
Alder Motif will make a motion to approve the claims in the amount of $360,793.55.
Second.
Okay, have a motion by Alder Motif and a second by Alder Finkler to approve paying the claims of $360,793.55. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Finkler.
Aye.
Roki.
Aye.
Gray.
Aye.
Steiner.
Aye.
Motive.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 6-0.
Okay, and next on the item is report of city officers, so.
I would just be really brief in my comments and thank staff and the council. A lot of work went into Friday's interview process. It was a long day for a lot of us, but I really appreciate the experience. I know a lot of the staff put in a lot of extra effort in arranging the food and all the details of the day, and it was a really, granted, yes, I got the job and I'm grateful for it, but it was a well-coordinated process, and I think a lot of people stepped up to make that happen, and want to share my appreciation.
That's it?
That's all I've got.
All right. So I would encourage people to go to the city website and under community events for events in the Columbus area. Columbus Library has many events throughout the month, and then coming into the next months too, plus summer coming up. And then added, as noted in the Columbus Police Department's report, motorists need to pull over to the right and stop upon approach of an emergency vehicle. So reiterate that, how important that is that you get out of the way for the emergency vehicles. There will be an Easter egg hunt on March 30th at 11 a.m. at Fireman's Park. And then I wish everybody a safe and blessed Easter. So with that, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Finkler and a second by Alder Motif to adjourn the regular meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Anybody want a couple minutes or 5? Okay.
Pardon?
Welcome back, everyone. I'd like to welcome you back to the Columbus Common Council Committee of the Whole regular meeting. This is Tuesday, March 19th. It is 7:04 PM. And if I could please have a roll call.
Finkler.
Here.
Gray.
Present.
Hammer.
Here.
Motive.
Present.
Reed.
Here.
Relke.
Present.
Steiner.
Here.
I acknowledge this meeting was posted and noticed according to law.
Okay. And the first item on the agenda is to approve the agenda.
Move to approve.
Motive will second.
Thank you. I have a motion from Alder Finkler, a second from Alder Motive. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the agenda is approved. At this time, we will be taking citizen comments. Please come to the podium and remember to state your full name and your address. First person, yeah, we do have quite a few people on the list, so we will be implementing the 3-minute time limit tonight for speaking. First name on the list is Shelley Albright.
Thank you, Amy. Yeah. Unfortunately, I do. It's on, right?
It's on, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to make this quick. I do kind of have a raspy voice thing going on, so I'm going to go home and go to bed. But I wanted to make a point to come and have a quick discussion about the agenda item number 11. I have seen a lot of people come here and speak on behalf of not doing the development, and I want to be here to say that not all of the community wants the farm to become a lavender field. And so I have a few points. I'm not gonna, get crabby about it or anything. I just want to make a few points. First of all, my husband and I, as far as the options of the proposals, Glenn and I are both interested in option 1 as our first preference. If the majority wants option 2 for apartments and homes, that's fine too. I just want to be clear that we are not interested in having a lavender field / event center at the Dingy property. When I was on council, we had people that complained about noise at the pavilion. Being that close to a little subdivision, I can only imagine it would be the same problem. Plus, the pavilion has been there for 100 years, so people that moved into those houses knew that there was going to be an event center there. And you really need to consider that when you are talking about putting some kind of event center there. Okay. My second point is the school district. We just spent like millions of dollars on a school district, and we updated our schools. We planned for an increase of enrollment. And how are we ever going to get increased enrollment if we don't have houses for people to buy, apartments for people to rent, or a location for people to even move to in Columbus? We see people on the community pages on a monthly basis asking about houses that are going on the market and are there any apartments for rent? And I'm sad to say that the answer is generally no. So you really need to take that into consideration. I know that we have a couple alders that probably already have their mind made up about this, but you still need to take this into consideration. Tax base and stormwater. So how are we going to increase our tax base and increase the money that we have to use on stormwater if we don't develop?
30 seconds, Shelley.
Oh, okay. All right, so, sorry, I didn't realize this was gonna take so long. My other thing is, an event menu is still gonna be zoned agriculturally. The tax bases won't be as much as what the homes will be. And the other thing I wanted to say is that not all the community is on Facebook. So alders and the mayor should be reaching out to their constituents that are not on Facebook. More importantly, people that are not complaining on Facebook. Thanks.
Next on the list is Ann Ehlenfeld.
Hello again. Yes, my name is Ann Ehlenfeld, 160 Inglesby Street, right here in Columbus. And I want to talk just very shortly about preserving historic buildings. An important part of what gives a city character and a sense of community is its history. One day, or our way of acknowledging this history is by preserving buildings and fun and rehabilitating old buildings to their original appearances. That helps attract people to come and visit our community. What are these people going to do here? Well, if we do some additional preserving, they're going to come and they're going to visit buildings. Look how they come and visit the F&M Bank. They go from there, they look at the City Hall, they look at the downtown area. They'll go from one place to another. Then they start frequenting our restaurants, which we don't have a lot right now. We need to grow. We need to grow more restaurants. We need to grow more businesses. How can we do that? By getting people here, getting people interested in Columbus, and then we need those things. People will start frequenting the old shops, and they'll start frequenting new ones as we get them. They'll spend money. They will help our economy. That is the way a community grows. I keep hearing people say things like, I don't want Columbus to become a community like, and I'm not even going to say the name of it. Or I've heard them say, we don't want to become a bedroom community for Milwaukee. Of course not, for Madison. Well, let's not have it become that if we don't want it to be that kind of a place. Let's help it grow as a community of learning, a community of fun and shopping, a community of eating. Since people are interested in historic preservation,
30 seconds.
we can all, oh, you got me. We can all do all what I listed there. By not getting rid of history, but instead of by taking advantage of it, we can do this. Let the Dingy Farm help us. Let the Dingy Farm help us to take advantage of our history and the fate of Columbus. Thank you.
Next name is John Salzwedel.
Hi, everybody. John Salzwedel, 841 Park Avenue. My time's short, so I wanted to say first, thanks to everybody up here. This has been a pretty contentious debate along the way, and I appreciate everybody's careful consideration in this. I'm not on Facebook, so I'm going to speak on behalf of that. There are people who do want to preserve that dingy farmstead. It's kind of a unique opportunity, I think, for this council, right? Everybody knows that we need houses. Nobody's going to argue that. We only have one proposal that wants to save the farmstead, and we only get one chance at doing that. So in the interest of asking around and seeing how serious people were, I reached out and asked about if I could get a copy of a petition. They had this petition going around about saving the Dingy Farm. And I don't know if I can share that with you guys, if that's something you guys want to look at, but there's a lot of names on here from people in town, people who vote. There's a lot of names of people who don't live here in town. So there's obviously some outside interest too garnered in this, and I would just, ask you guys to really weigh the pros and cons heavily. I know at one point it seemed like a foregone conclusion. Some things changed. Doesn't mean they can't change again. Again, there will be more houses here in Columbus at some point, and housing is an issue. We all know that. But we only have one chance to save something unique like this, and I really hope that's the direction that this council goes. Thank you.
Next on the list is Ruth Hermanson.
Thank you, City Council. I'm Ruth Hermanson, 986 986 Warner Street, Columbus, Wisconsin. I'm speaking on behalf of CHLPC. We had a recent meeting. We rewrote the letter I read last week, and I'll quickly read it. The City of Columbus has a rich history of preservation of notable buildings at the national, state, and local levels. The city has designated Historic Landmarks Preservation Commission to help preserve, restore, and restore the historic integrity of our community. Over the past 40-plus years, the Commission has identified local landmarks and has actively worked to identify historic landmarks, historic districts in the City of Columbus. It has also actively fundraised to restore buildings in the Fireman's Park, most notably the Pavilion and the Rest Haven, and that was at no cost to the city. We believe that the Dingy Home is a significant historical landmark and urge the city to preserve the home when it considers proposals presented to the city on the future of the Dingy property. Chapter 2 of the city comprehensive plan includes Objective 2, protect the agriculture, environmental, and cultural assets in the city of Columbus. And in Policy 2, the city should encourage maintenance and rehabilitation of the historic areas and buildings and will support community events, programs that celebrate history and culture of Columbus. Further, we believe the entirety of the farmstead is of significant historical cultural value and hereby recommend that it be preserved. CHLPC. Just notably, I have some attachments here from the comprehensive plan. Going to rural preservation, which, okay, Lavender Farm would fit in with that. One of the lines right here is the development will consider design elements that will enhance the small town feel of Columbus. So when you come into town, you feel welcome, you feel like you're at home. And this property would do that. Also, the city encourages maintenance and rehabilitation of historic areas. 30? Okay. So on that note, then I was asked if at the state level, was the Dingy property ever listed as historically significant? And in 1996, there was a survey done. The Dingy property was noted for that. They would approve historic for state and national. Okay. Okay, Katie.
I wasn't able to be on the list, but I could wait till the end. Shall I wait?
You want to go right on?
Sure. So I'm Katie Nichols, 649 West School Street, and just to kind of pick up where Ruth left off, we just want to emphasize that from the point of view of the State Historical Society, this property would not be eligible for state and national listing without the entire farmstead. So the home is really in context of the entire property with the associated barns. So we just want to make that clear. Thank you.
Next, Jeff Venden.
Jeff Venden, 746 South Main Street. And in honor of today, proud to say I served 37 years with Fred Dart in the fire department. Just wanted to clear up a couple of things that came out in the discussions last week, and one was the concern of how can we sell land for $1, et cetera. And I probably would look to our little village to the north of us that outsmarted us on EK Machine, and I think there's a lot of taxpayers would love that tax base in this community today, and because we thought our land was so valuable that we wouldn't sell them our land, Fall River gave it to them for $1. I think they got a pretty good deal out of it. There was also a comment from a young lady, really nice that somebody at her age that talked about having trouble affording to be able to live here in Columbus because of housing costs. Supply and demand, something that, you know, sometimes education is the hardest thing to learn is when you're in the real world. We don't have more houses, the price isn't going to get any cheaper. And it's not getting any cheaper to the south of us, and it's not getting any cheaper to the north of us. So I think some reality comes in. I did hear mention about a petition signed by people out of town. Long as they're willing to pay my taxes that I can't pay, you can sign all the petitions you want, but they have no clout not being in the city of Columbus. And I think the city really did their job. You said the people preserved the house. They're preserving the house. I don't see a lot of value there. If I was somebody living in that area and all of a sudden I'm having weddings in my backyard, I don't think I'd be happy. I didn't hear anything in regards to where are these people going to park. They got to have a liquor license today. State law changed on the barns, wedding barns. They're not going to be near as cheap as they used to be because you can't bring in all your own liquor like you did when my daughter got married at a wedding barn. So I think those are things that have to be considered. I don't live next to it. I'm not here to judge whether it's A, B, C, D, which one should be the right one. That's for you to figure out and for the people maybe living in that area to figure out. But I think you did your job. We're done.
Next on the list is Henry St. Maurice.
Thank you. Henry St. Maurice, 954 Dick Street. I'm here tonight in my capacity as a Columbia County Supervisor and current Vice Chair of the Highway Committee. When I heard from now Administrator Amundson that the ATV UTV ordinance would be on the agenda, I did a little research because it's been over a year now that the county adopted an ordinance regarding ATV UTV use on county roads. I have it here printed out. It shows the compliance with state statutes. And I did also ask Sheriff Brandner. He said in the county since the adoption of the ordinance, he's had very few incidents to deal with, a couple of DUIs. So I'm just passing on the information from the county level because there are county roads for which the city would abut, and I'm passing that on, and I can give this to the administrator. Thank you.
Next name on the list is Roger Sneath.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Roger Sneath. I live at 444 West Prairie Street, right here in Columbus, Wisconsin. I'm here tonight and certainly to speak again on the 1400 Park Street next steps in terms of what happens with this property. It's no secret that I personally am not in favor of any of the proposals that have been received, and I do, though, very much appreciate the information session that was provided for everyone last week, as I know emotions ran high and there were a variety of views that were expressed. What I'm here to talk about tonight is to ask that the council proceed with care and deliberation in considering what next should happen with the property. I personally believe that there's a great danger in rushing to a quick or an easy solution that might seem like the best idea at the moment, where with some more careful research and a discovery of options, that there is a better way to go for the city. I believe that in the past that sometimes we have made decisions that we've moved ahead too quickly, when with a little more care and caution, a better solution would have presented itself. So I really do ask very carefully, or very clearly and with a lot of passion, that you proceed with care and deliberation. I would ask that you not take any action on what should happen next with the property until after the election. Should this council choose to move forward, I believe it's going to present a lot of bad optics to the community, when by waiting until after the election, there could be much more credibility in reaching a solution on how to proceed forward. Thank you.
Last name on the list is Teddy Decker.
Teddy Decker, 970 Badger Court. Tonight I want to stay out of city politics, and I wanted to talk about something else that's going on in our community. that brings a positive light to the city of Columbus. It's our archery program through our schools. This weekend is our state tournament up in the Dells. We have just under 90 students that'll be participating between Friday and Saturday for the tournament. We've had a lot of continued success from our successes from last year. Currently, records that were broken this year were the middle school girls record, the elementary school girls record, which I was a little disappointed by because my daughter held that record. The elementary boys record, the middle school record was broken twice, and the elementary school record was broken this year. Some of the archers too, we have the top girl in middle school in the state of Wisconsin. She shoots for Columbus. We have 2 of them that are in the top 10. Elementary girls, we have 3 in the top 5 in the state, both in average and high scores. High school girls, there's one, she has a disability and she's tied for 8th for high score out of the whole state. Elementary boys, we have 3 in the top 5 in average, 5 in the top 6 in high scores. High school boys, there's 2 in the top 10 in average, 4 in the top 12 in high scores. We have a very good program going on and wanted to bring some positivity to the city, and bickering going on back and forth just to bring some light of what's actually good and happening. These kids started back in October to shoot, and they're continually to go. Like I said, state tournaments this weekend. Most of them will hopefully be going to nationals, which will be in May, and we'll have our nice trip down to Louisville for that. I know a few members of the council here have yard signs, and potentially some of the other ones. I urge everybody who has one to put one out. Let's show our support for these young students. If you need one, let me know. I have plenty more to. I gave you 2 last year. I at least 1 I dropped off at your house for sure. I tried talking you into 2 because you're a corner, but you only wanted 1. I'll get you some. You got it. So I just wanted to bring that to light for the program at the school. So thank you guys for your time.
Thank you. And good luck, Columbus Archery.
Before we move on, is there anyone else who wanted to speak who did not get a chance to sign the sign-in sheet? Okay, hearing none. Included in your packet tonight are committee and commission minutes from the Cable Commission on 11/27/23, CHLPC on 12/13/23, and the Recreation Department on 1/8/24. Also department reports from Fire, Library, Lifestar, Police, and the Treasurer's Report. The next item for discussion is to discuss Ordinance 787-24, an ordinance to repeal and recreate Section 2-40 and 2-51 of the City Code of Ordinances. And Susan, is your light on because you wanted to?
No.
Okay. Matt, did you want to talk about this?
I don't know that I have a whole lot to add. I think this is now the 3rd committee of the whole meeting that this is being discussed, and there's been a lot of good discussion about it. And I think as staff, what Paul and I are looking for is direction in how to move this to council.
Okay. With that, does anybody have any questions, concerns, comments?
I'd be remiss in not mentioning tonight with the fire department in the room, it was really nice to be able to move through the council agenda effectively, quickly, get through. I know Alder Gray had pointed this out in the past. I think that's a good format. It allows anyone that is here for a proclamation, something like that, to not have to sit through what, on certain nights could be lengthy public comments on an item that's on the committee of the whole. And I think you saw that play out tonight, and any way we can incorporate that into moving forward, I think would be a good practice.
Alder Gray?
And that does hark back to what I mentioned before, is I do still feel that the city council regular meeting should be topical, including public comment. I believe public comment that is non-topical should be reserved for the committee of the whole. And I think that's how we conduct effective business and still hear our residents at the same time.
Alder Motive?
I support what Alder Gray said. I think that we need to remain on topic, at least during the regular council meetings.
Alder Finkler?
So what happened tonight then would not occur in the future if that change was made?
No, it would occur exactly.
I don't see a proclamation on the council agenda, and that's when it was spoken about.
Well, proclamation, the mayor can do at any time.
Okay,
And
So
that's
that-
why I put it at that spot.
okay.
Alder Reed?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, same question as before. So we would apparently be looking at keeping section 2B and 2C the same for council. But then in the next section for the cow, I'm wondering if we want to change the wording of 2B and 2C. Just the part where it talks about if the presiding officer determines comments are off-topic, abusive, or otherwise out of line. And then C was off-topic, abusive, or out of line. I definitely want to keep in the abusive or otherwise out of line, but I'm concerned about taking the off-topic part away from the cow.
Alder Gray?
No, and that's exactly what I was saying, is I think that's what we should keep for the city council meeting, but remove it for the cow. So cow can be off topic, we should hear from citizens, we should have a time to hear from citizens, but I don't think that time is when we're trying to conduct business.
Alder Steiner?
I'll just say I agree with that completely. I mean, the common council is where we conduct the majority of our actions, and it should be efficient and move forward. And anyone who wants to speak on those particular topics should be allowed to. However, the committee of the whole is more of a committee discussion, and anyone who wants to speak about any topic should be able to present that there, not through the business aspect of things.
Alder Finkler?
I'm good with the changes because all we're doing is splitting hairs right now. The conversation's going to happen at any point in time in the night, and as long as the conversation does happen and citizens are heard, I could care less when it happens.
Mayor Hammer?
One of the things that we did for tonight's meeting is we actually had sign-up sheet for the individual meetings, which then, I mean, that should help out if we continue to do that, so.
So am I hearing, oh, I'm sorry, Paul.
I think my light is not functioning, which is probably good. So what I'm hearing then is that for the council, public comment should be only on the agenda items that are on the council for that evening. And the committee of the whole is agenda items and other topics. Is that right?
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, leaving the abusive language, but taking out the off-topic.
Right. And you were comfortable with, remember we talked last time about the abusive and about that, like you're comfortable with leaving that in?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You guys might want to share one. If you try to turn on and you can only get.
No, if mine doesn't come on, I'm happy.
So we are comfortable moving this forward with that change?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Next item on the agenda is to discuss license requirements and ordinance revisions related to ATV, UTV. And Chief Weiner?
Good evening. I was not able to attend the last council meeting where some questions came up. I was in the adjoining room at the Police and Fire Commission meeting. So I understand there's some questions about licensing and maybe some revisions or changes or things you're thinking about. So I reached out to our area Conservation Warden Pete McCormick and asked him to attend. He's an encyclopedia of knowledge on the laws and the changes and the statutes. We're still relatively new to it here within the department, so instead of, well, let me make a note of that and get back to you, let me look into this, let me make a call, he can answer everything for you here direct, and Pete was gracious enough to be happy to come, so please address him with any questions. If it's something more local, like how things are going here, or other questions like that, I'll be glad to answer. But any questions regarding licensing, what you can, can't do, what other communities are doing, Pete's the guy.
Good evening. Good evening.
I read through what was in our packet, and maybe I'm just having an off day, but I didn't understand. They do have to have a license and be 16 years or older, or not?
Okay, so just let me understand that your ordinance has adopted statute 2333 in its entirety and nothing more? That's correct. Correct. Then there is no license requirement, a driver license from the DOT to operate an ATV or UTV in the state of Wisconsin.
Okay.
You could make that a part of your ordinance, and many communities have adopted that. But there is a requirement of a safety certificate. Anyone born on or after January 1st, 1988 is required to have that to operate on our trail system, on road routes, or in municipalities.
Then my other question is in regard to open intoxicants.
Mhm.
Can passengers have open intoxicants?
Yes, if your ordinance doesn't exclude that or put it in there, if it simply states statute 2333 in its entirety, then open intoxicants isn't addressed as a violation. It's not addressed on boats, it's not addressed on snowmobiles as a violation.
Thank you.
Alder Reed?
Well, thank you. With our policy as is, who is in charge of checking violations?
So when you say policy, are you referring to the ordinance?
Yes.
Okay. So any law enforcement agency that has direct authority over Chapter 2333, such as myself, State Patrol, Columbia County Sheriffs, and your local police department, all can enforce that. Your ordinance would be enforced by your local police department. In our world, we have what they call expanded authority. If I saw a violation that violated your ordinance and it's not necessarily in state statute, I could get expanded authority to make that traffic stop and then refer that over, or have a city officer come and deal with that situation.
Paul?
Peter, are you familiar with other communities that have license requirements?
Yes.
How does enforcement of that work? Is that just if they're stopped for something else and then that becomes like an add-on, or is that something that people are searching for from law enforcement side?
Yes, so there'd need to be a reasonable suspicion of a violation to make a traffic stop. If they found that that person did not have a valid driver's license, they could write that citation under that ordinance, and it would go through their municipal court system.
So if a local officer knew that a person has a suspended driver's license and saw them on an ATV, that would be the...
That would be the probable, reasonable suspicion for the stop, yep.
Thank you.
Alder Gray?
But without adding that to our ordinance, that is not something they could do while operating a ATV or UTV. So, like, if someone had a suspended driver's license and they were operating an ATV or UTV in the city of Columbus with our existing ordinance, Chief Weiner or anyone could not actually pull them over.
We can for a violation, and I've
But
dealt
not
with
for
that.
having a suspended
I've dealt with
license. That would have
a couple
absolutely
times.
nothing
Correct.
to
It's
do.
irrelevant to the
And if there was a
operation.
passenger with an open intoxicant, you could not pull them over.
Under your current ordinance, you're correct,
So,
could not.
so all of the things I've been saying, you are confirming that everyone has been telling me that I'm crazy. Thank you.
If you want to take it one step further, the requirement of having an intoxicant interlock device in a vehicle, it's a workaround if you don't have that. Some communities have gone to limiting the hours of operation from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. I believe the county, Columbia County, is that way on its highways. And many local communities that have their own ordinances have adopted that.
I think that's a good note, too.
Alder Finkler?
Do you have an example of a community that does that well with using the state statute and additional ordinances for requiring a license? You cannot, have an open intoxicant. Like, I don't think anybody is arguing that we don't want that. I think we just need to make sure we do it right, and I think the best way to do that is to mirror another community that has that.
Yeah, Rio.
Rio?
Rio
Okay,
has
perfect.
a very good ordinance for its community in that regard, that addressed a lot of these things. In fact, I sat down with their chief when they were drafting their ordinance, and we talked about state statute. And let me kind of give you the background of 2333. 2333 was designed specifically for ATVs, UTVs, in an off-road world. When we put that into a city, such as Columbus, the dynamics of that set of statutes or laws has changed, because it's addressing things that don't happen, on the streets, meaning turn signals on vehicles, If, you adopt 346, which is the rules of the road and motor vehicles, that's pretty much, inclusive of many, many things. And then that leaves very little for the community to really think about how they want to regulate the use of the motor vehicles in their community. But when we take something that was designed in the 80s and off-road use, in fact, the whole idea of a road route was designed to link an off-road section of trail to another off-road section of trail, and leaving that to the local municipality to whether they wanted that to happen. So the state has not ever participated in making that, but leaving it to the local authorities to do so. So, these machines, and you got to think, when we're combining an off-road vehicle on the paved surfaces, different speeds, but they're capable of going 60, 70 miles an hour without turn signals, and the impact of them, from a safety perspective is different. And they maneuver differently on paved surfaces. So there's, it's a unique component adding into a road surface.
Alder Gray?
Thank you, and that brings up one of the things that I was vehemently against this from the start, is that they are engineered differently. They do have a different safety component. They cannot maneuver the same way on concrete that a vehicle that was meant to maneuver. They are simply not meant to be operated safely on pavement, is that correct?
Correct.
So it is
well, based on
inherently
they're
less safe
changing.
to add them to
Many
pavement.
manufacturers list right on the safety sticker, do not ride on paved surfaces.
Right.
We're seeing some changes in tires that make it a little bit better, but I was at a near fatal accident this past weekend where a young lady was using regular road tires on an ATV, took a corner too fast and struck a building. So, you go from one environment to the other, and it changes the dynamic of the vehicle and the application. Seat belts are required in UTVs when operated on the road. But without them being buckled, people are continuously, we had a fatal 3 weeks ago on the 2nd in the northern part of the county. The operator wasn't wearing a seat belt, the passenger was. The operator tipped the vehicle over, went through the side, and suffered severe head trauma that took his life. Seat belts save lives, and it's probably even, I don't know how to say, more important in an AT or a UTV than a motor vehicle, that you have a crash cage. You have a vehicle that's designed to take impacts when we speak about the automobile. Off-road ones aren't necessarily designed to take those impacts. Thank you.
Alder Motive?
My question is either for Matt or Paul. I would like to propose that we add in the driver's license be 16 and hold a valid driver's license, as well as no open intoxicants. What is the process that we need to take at this point in order to begin that, if the council wishes?
The process is just like any other ordinance. I mean, right now you have something on the books, and it's very basic, and it basically incorporates with state law. And as Pete said, local communities can add. I mean, there are some things you can't really address, but everything that you just mentioned, you can. And then it's just a question of what exactly you want it to say. The communities that I work in that have done this have argued very long and hard over the license requirement, the hours of operation, the open intoxicants, and helmets. Those are the biggest issues that I've seen. And you also, and because you're a city with people that will be coming into your community, one of the big counter arguments to making additional rules is you don't want a mishmash of regulations, because if I'm in Hamden, I don't have to wear a helmet, and as soon as I get to Columbus, I do, or vice versa. And so that is something that always comes in, and then the county has rules, the state has rules, and the local has rules. And you want to be a little bit careful to try to match them all up. You certainly don't have to, but the cohesive nature of the law will help law enforcement and everybody else as well. But otherwise, it's just tell me what you need, and we'll start working on it.
So, let me just clarify. Anyone operating a UTV must be at least 16 years old, okay? The ATV, anyone between the ages of 12 and 15, and 16, so 15, would need to be accompanied by a parent or an adult.
On the same ATV?
Not on the same unit, but within the same proximity.
Yeah. I don't support that personally. I would like to see all drivers be 16 and have a valid driver's license.
Matt?
I'm going to make a suggestion and ask a question, that we bring the Rio example forward, and my question is whether you want that at the next COW for further deliberation, or if you want it at the council level.
I think
Cow.
So just in an effort to move forward, I think that'd be good to get that in front of us. It's a tried and tested example that we can look at and see how it fits our needs.
Well, and to clarify, if we,
Yes.
And then, yeah. So I was actually gonna suggest the same thing that Matt did, is that we bring Rios forward and we look. I am all about no open intoxicants, you have to have a license, we don't want people getting around interlock devices, those types of items. I think the responsible riders and the advocates that are in our community are not looking to have Busch Lights cans being thrown out the side of an ATV while they're getting wasted. I just don't think that's what we've seen. So as it relates to a helmet law, we need to remember, and as we say, it's so dangerous on the roads. I ride a motorcycle, which is more dangerous than an ATV.
It's not.
So yes, it is. I've ridden both, and trust me, an inexperienced motorcycle driver is way more dangerous than an ATV. But I would like to say, I have no concerns with helmets for minors, but requiring helmets for adults. We are not a helmet requirement state, so I think it just keeps it easier if you don't. I choose to wear one on my motorcycle because I'm an adult and I want to protect my brain, and I think minors shouldn't have that choice, but adults should have that choice.
Alder Reed?
Oh, thank you. So I'm a definite for the age of 16 and a driver's license. My further question along those lines is, what are some communities doing insurance-wise? Is there any way to tie auto insurance with an ATV or UTV?
I haven't seen a lot of that as far as tying the insurance to it. I would have to check Rios to see if they require insurance on it. I don't know if they do or not. But again, that would be up to your attorney and your ordinance. Just a point of clarification is state law does require anyone 18 or younger to wear a helmet under the age of 18 for ATV or UTV.
Paul, were you trying to signal me?
Yes. in your packet is the ordinance that Columbus started with. That was just kind of a reference point. So some of those things that you're talking about now, the opening talks, that is, there's language in here that will be your starting point for that. There is a helmet requirement in here, and it's 60. No, it does say 80. So that's in there, and then there was hours of operation that was in time as well, that I don't think that survived. So, some of those, the issues that you're talking about now there's language for you to at least look at, that will be showing up again when we start putting this together.
Great, thank you.
Alder Finkler?
I think we should just move forward with looking at Rios, bring it to next cow, and we can talk through it further then. I mean, we can talk about this probably for the next 2 hours, but until we see that recommendation of a community that works, I think we're kind of wasting time.
All right, do you have everything you need? Okay.
And thank you so much for coming
My
and
pleasure.
helping.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is to discuss task order with Rupert Milkie for street maintenance projects.
Thanks, Amy, and I want to point out, thank you for not censoring me like Paul. So this task order for the street maintenance tonight is related to our annual program that you guys budget for. That is our component to help maintain our current street system. This isn't part of, obviously, the reconstruction piece. That's the next task order. So every year we kind of have an allocated sum of money where we spend to do crack seal, patching, slurry seal, just kind of keeping our streets maintained, keeping them in good working condition before they degrade. Some of you may have seen my presentation, but 10 cents now is $1's worth of cost later, and so that's what this program's intended to be. This task order before you tonight is just to the point is to help Public Works come up with a plan, prepare plans and specifications, bid that out, and do the construction component of it. That is something we've done pretty routinely. We always throw in some support for Troy in this case with the county aid project, even though that's not specifically called out in here. We always chip in and help kind of coordinate and organize that and make sure that gets run smoothly as well. So that's what this task order is for, is just kind of all encompassing for the maintenance for 2024. So is there any questions related to the service?
Is everybody comfortable moving that one forward? Okay. Next on the agenda is discuss task order with Rupert Milkie for construction services related to 2024 streets project.
All right, thank you. So this one's a little different. This is obviously for our big capital project. This is for our reconstruction of Richmond, Selden, commercial, and then if you recall, there was various mandatory alternates that fit into this that were projects we were going to do around the city. Normally on these big projects, what we do is we bid out or write contracts for these construction or design services 1 year, and then when we get the approved contract and we know we're moving forward with it, I usually bring back the second half. So this is pretty standard again for us. So we're doing the construction staking for the contractor per the contract documents. We're reviewing all the utilities that gets constructed to make sure they're compliant with the standards that we have and what we would anticipate. And then obviously it's the road reconstruction piece. So we're there just to make sure that we're getting the roads built in a fashion that'll last for a long time. At the end, we do have some administration in here. Again, those are pay requests, change orders. There's a weekly meeting on site with the contractor. We address any residents' issues. We address any feedback. We coordinate notices go out. So there's a whole series of letters going out to residents as part of this service that's kind of helping them step through the process, what to expect. At the end, there's some closeout documentation, and as the last part of this, we always update the GIS system. So with all the information that we reconstructed, we want to make sure it's there for the future in case anybody needs to look it up. And ironically, Matt just asked me for something this week from a 2018 project, and I was able to go in and pull it right out. So I think you guys have done a great job of keeping records on these projects, so I certainly advocate for that as part of this task order. So,
any questions? Everybody comfortable moving that one forward?
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is to discuss proposals received for 1400 Park Avenue.
I'm not sure what to say on the topic that hasn't been said to this point. There's been a lot of information, there's been a lot of discussion. I think this is really the time for you to have the time to talk through this.
Alder Gray?
So, in my personal opinion of the matter is there is only one of the three that adequately addresses all of the needs that we're looking to address when we purchase this property. There is only one of them that actually fits. There's only one of them that brings over $100,000 a year to the city. They will also bring that to our schools there is only one that is right-sized for Columbus. There's only one that marries apartments, new, nice apartments to the existing, rather older apartments across the street. There's only one that really makes sense here for our community.
Alder Steiner?
We've been dealing with this for quite a long time, and I think we're at the finish line here. So I feel like I want to expedite this. So I'm going to make a motion to move forward with the Lamps Landing proposal to the Common Council.
Gray will second.
I have a motion from Alder Steiner and a second from Alder Gray. Is there further discussion? Alder Finkler?
I made the motion. I should have the table.
Oh, I apologize.
Yeah. This has been a pretty contended issue for this entire time, and I agree with what Alder Gray was saying, that there's one that addresses everything. We are saving the house, preserving as much history as we can, and I'm concerned the liability of turning down these proposals from developers. Columbus is in desperate need of residential growth to improve the commerce and economy of the community. We have development around us that's just holding on to see when we're ready. This whole thing was intended to be that message to these developers. We're ready. We need to do this. We're ready to move forward. This was our skin in the game. In comparison, this is a relatively small amount for the community for Columbus to put into a development. We're barely putting anything into this. $500,000 is, we spend more on half a road than we do on this. It's a pretty sweet deal. And I'm concerned that if we turn down these proposals, the other proposal from Steer and Nagel won't follow through. And then we're stuck with a property we can't maintain. We can't afford to hold on to. It's just going to sit there. Is it guaranteed? No. Maybe something else will come along, but how long can we sit on a property we can't afford to maintain? What happens if we don't get through what everyone says is going to happen? My concern is that. Liabilities over guarantees. We will make businesses, we will grow the community, we will have residents, we will have tax revenue with Lamps Landing. I'd like to move that forward as expediently as possible.
Alder Finkler?
I would 100% disagree because that is actually my least favorite one out of all of them. I am for historical preservation, but if that is not the majority, it is definitely not an apartment building that will be falling to disrepair in a few years. And also, I have concerns about just the developer, and I guess maybe I'm just not sure what looks good and what doesn't look good for meetings that have occurred outside of council and is in relation to this developer. And I'm just a little concerned about that in specific of a meeting in January. I don't have any information from it, but I know there was one that occurred. I'm a little concerned with this being a major developer in Sun Prairie and it being really forcefully pushed, especially by a council member that is not going to be on council in a month. So it really just worries me. I'm making absolutely no accusations other than I did not make any accusations other than I worry, and I'm allowed to have feelings and I'm allowed to worry, and I'm allowed to represent my constituents that also worry about the same information and also open records that were out in relation to this developer. I've had many concerns come in. And on top of that, nobody that lives in that neighborhood wants more apartment buildings in their neighborhood. Nobody. As a single-family neighborhood, actually, they more want an event venue than they want an apartment building. I live in the neighborhood. I talk to my constituents, and against popular belief, I talk to ones that aren't on Facebook also. So I just would like that to be very clear that we should be careful what we're pushing because the bright, shiny looks good.
Alder Reed?
Thank you. I'm just beyond disgusted and appalled that our conversation was cut short with an immediate proposal. That was such a bizarre move. That is not our norm. That makes me so suspicious, and the feeling of bad faith for all of those that have spoken, for the election coming up, that you have a good idea how it's going to turn out. I just find it unconscionable to not even have the discussion. That one is also my least favorite option. I mean, everything about the two new developments is so pie in the sky. I don't know how the fear came to some of us that this is the only development that will ever come, and we need to sacrifice our history. We need to show that we have no decency, no limit to what we'll do. We want development under any circumstances. That's what we're telling the public. Thank you.
Alder Gray?
So, just to remind everyone, council is a body. It is a body that continues. It does not stop business for elections. And the idea that that's how a council should function is completely opposing our system of government. So it's an absurdity. Council does not stop business just because there's an election coming. We continue. That is not how things are supposed to operate. It doesn't matter who sits here. All of us should be doing what's best for our community. The council, when we purchased this, we're all in agreement that something similar to Lamps Landing is what we were looking for. That is the reason we purchased this property. There shouldn't really need to be that much more discussion because we have one proposal of what the council, yes, there's a few different people sitting here than there was then, but it's still the same council. This was our objective. I don't really understand anything but that. It is the only one that marries the existing properties on both sides all around it appropriately. It is the only one that does that. And it brings the most revenue to our community. It brings the most revenue to our schools. It brings the most diverse housing, which anytime you're looking to add housing to a community, you should be looking to add housing on every level, not just large single-family homes like the other one would do. They're massive lots. They're all going to be very expensive homes, some of them right against the street, backing up to apartment buildings on the other side of the street. That is not what people want to buy. It separates the single-family homes to an area that's appropriate. It puts a buffer between those single-family homes with attractive apartment buildings that will not decay in 3 years. They will be owner-managed, and none of his other apartment buildings that he has done anywhere else have decayed in 3 years, so I don't know where you're getting that from, but that's beside the point.
Alder Reed?
Thank you. I just don't understand how we're assuming that this is the most financially viable route. We have no idea how things are going to go in a couple months. This is a horrible environment nationally to be doing this kind of investments. I mean, I really feel like it's 2007 again, and we're talking about spending over $1.5 million up front and hoping for the best. I mean, I'd like to hope for the best, but that's not what I'm seeing.
Alder Motive?
Part of our job as a council is to think about the future of this city and to think about economic development. You know, we've heard these things before, but I'm going to say them again. We just put a huge amount of money into our school system, but yet we don't have an influx of children coming in to go to school there. We don't have a ton of open land in Columbus to be developed. And yes, we are being watched by the area landowners and the developers. And we need to send a signal that, yes, we're ready to put a plan in place and we are ready to develop. We are not saying we want to be a large city, but what we're saying is this fits that area, and we know that then we can strategize our other areas within the city on how those are going to be redeveloped or developed. For example, we've all talked about wanting to redevelop downtown, right? We can't get new businesses in here because we can't support the current businesses that we have given our current community. If we don't start adding residential homes, then we will not get more businesses in here. And it's eventually going to shut this city down.
Matt?
A couple of things. Just in general, whatever happens on this site, whether that is single-family, multifamily, or preserving the existing buildings, my hope is that whatever development agreement is created puts checks and balances in place that the right process moves forward. I know I'm new to this. Mike Kornman is not. From a building inspection, from review site, I know there's a lot of trust and faith in Rupert Milkey and the work that they do for the city. Every project that comes before us goes through a very rigorous process to ensure that it is in the community's best interest and is following the requirements of the city. And I'll attest that we're gonna do that as a staff, regardless of what moves forward here. There are some comments made about development in Sun Prairie, and I just want to be careful in that we identify that this proposal, although the developer may be related, I'm not aware that he has done any work in Sun Prairie. I know specifically he did a project in Middleton in the time I was in Middleton. He's worked in other communities, no doubt, but I specifically knew that he did I think it was the Brown Reserve or Brownstone Reserve in Middleton. There was another comment I wanted to make, and maybe I'll remember it in a little bit. I apologize.
Alder Finkler?
So I just want to point out a couple things. Like what Matt said, even if the Steer & Nagel offer or RFP proposal is chosen, the staff will ensure that it is successful and there is oversight there. So I would just like to point that out. The other thing is Lamps Landing, just to me, seems like such an unrealistic offer. And I say that for a couple different things. So easements aren't taken into consideration when this proposal was drawn up, from my understanding, if I was paying attention right, at our information meeting, which I felt was important to travel to all the different stations. And one of the, I would like to point out that those lots that are surrounding this luxury apartment building are roughly a quarter acre apiece. You take easement into consideration, that's gonna cramp it even more. I wanna know how you're gonna fit this many lots, these apartment buildings there. I just think that it is an unrealistic offer just to get the foot in and to be able to start this. I also wanna point out, if our goal is to go after Lamps Landing because our school district needs more students, you're not gonna find that in 1 and 2 apartment or 1 and 2 bedroom apartment buildings. You're gonna find that in the 15 lot, 3-4 bedroom houses versus a 1 to 2 bedroom luxury apartment. What you're gonna find that would stay in there if it stayed luxury, which I don't know, I heard $1,400 in rent. I've never seen a 2-bedroom apartment for $1,400 in rent that's called luxury, but that's beside the point. You will find at most maybe some folks, working at the hospital or something like that, but not typically a family that would fill schools. So it just seems like the proposal and to the want seems very unrealistic to work together and meet the needs that the argument is there for.
Alder Reed?
Thank you. Yeah, I was also going to mention the question about both the lack of easements in general for Lamps Landing and also for both of the development proposals. How did we suddenly wind up with almost seven developable acres when a little over a month ago, maybe 2 months, we were told 2.5 acres could be developed?
Yeah, that was never.
Alder Steiner.
I'll address the kind of subjective nature of what was going on here. The proposals are a rough markup. They will be negotiated and moved around and adjusted to meet the needs of what you have. It may not exactly be whatever it is you're seeing in the proposal. It is just a proposal. It is not the agreement that we're going to have. As far as, what's going in there, this property is not going to solve anything, but the point is it's going to open up the doors to solve the problem. We have not had any significant growth for a long time, and a lot of it is to do that we're landlocked. We could develop other lands, but they're all floodplains. We have to put a substantial amount of money into developing these properties to get anyone to want to develop these properties. This one property, 7 acres, right in the middle of town, is prime for it. Our investment in here is virtually nothing. Virtually nothing. And we're going to get a whole bunch of housing, a whole bunch of revenue, and the people that don't need a 4-bedroom house anymore, that had kids and they're all moved on, they can move into smaller houses and a new family can go into the big house. It just creates a greater opportunity for everyone. And the subjective nature as to whether or not we'll be able to fill this house because the economy is not doing well, there's such a high demand, it'll fill up before we even start digging. It'll sell. This isn't that much. It's not a large lot of land, it's not a lot of housing, but it's a start towards a direction we need to move into. Quezon is a decent proposal, but it offers very little in terms of that. It still would move forward, still get this revenue. I think Lamps Landing is the best choice for what we have in front of us.
Mayor Hammer?
I think where that 2-acre thing came from is a misunderstanding of when Jason city engineer had presented. There was the 2 acres or whatever that you would lose with, your roadways and whatever. So you still have that 5 point whatever of developable land.
Yeah, I can confirm that, Joe. I think, and I don't know if that's where the confusion lies, but that's the right number. There's 7.5 there, about 2 acres or so come out in stormwater, roadways, undevelopable. So the 2 is undevelopable, which leaves the balance of developable. So if that was maybe the confusion, I'm not sure if I misquoted that, but you're correct.
Yeah, and then any land development, there's a certain amount of land that you're going to lose because of roads and whatever. I mean, as people know, initially, I was not in favor of the city purchasing the land, but when you go back and you look at what the city's needs are and a means of trying to accomplish what we need to accomplish in this, again, to have the feeling that we are not listening to constituents, yeah, we're listening, doesn't always mean that you're going to get the way that you want. I mean, again, as a city council, we have a responsibility to the whole community and what is going to benefit the whole community. The house is being preserved. I grant you that, they would like to see the whole farm, but the house is being preserved. Again, as a city, we need to look at what the best benefit is for the city going forward. And it presented an opportunity to do such a project. Again, while I was not initially in favor, I feel that this is going forward, that this is the best route to go.
Alder Moda?
In reference to Lamb's Landing, they've done quite a bit in DeForest. And when I went back home for family dinner the other day, I went and drove around to the developments that he has done in DeForest. And he's done a great job. They are not houses that are going to fall apart. The apartment buildings that he's done there are beautiful and well-maintained. And I like the fact that he's got so much experience behind him. And to address what Adam said, yeah, these are proposals. And someone with that kind of experience is going to be able to pivot better and give us the best product.
Alder Reed?
Oh, thank you. I guess at this point, my question is on if the half of council plus one decide to ram through a plan, what happens after the election? There's a decision to cease negotiations with said contractor. How would that go?
I mean, obviously, the steps moving forward would be if there's direction to move this to council, if council at the next meeting on April 1st provides direction to begin negotiations or whatever that looks like, the process of developing a development agreement and getting back to that to council is not going to be a 2-week turnaround. There's going to be time, okay? And so you're right. The next council is going to inherit this and going to have to interpret, make decisions, and determine what's in the best interest going forward. Paul, I don't know if you have anything to add to that process, but obviously, if we got down the road in negotiations, we got a development agreement back to the council, that's probably the next approval step that the council would have the ability to say yes or no to.
Yeah, there's going to be many steps that are going to have to come together. I mean, the developer will have to start working on its plat, or however it's going to subdivide the property. And at the same time, the city will be starting the discussions with the financial parts of this. The engineering has to get started. It's just like the projects that were done out along the Highway 16 corridor. I mean, you can go fairly quick, but fairly quick in a development is months, not days. But probably, and I don't like to get into your political situation, but I'm going to anyway. The problem you're going to have is if you start moving this forward and all of a sudden you start pulling back, that's not going to look good. It just isn't. So
The same thing we did to Steer and Nagel?
I know.
You can't tell me no, because it is the same exact thing we did to them.
Let him finish, please.
100%.
thank you. I'm not going to get into that argument because we could talk about that for many weeks. It's not exactly the same thing. But you have to be careful as to how you move forward. So if you decide to move forward, you need to decide to move forward. Those who have lost need to move forward. That's all. I should stop.
Alder Finkler?
I think the problem we have here is this is exactly what we did to Steer and Nagel. That's the answer, Trina, to your question. If we pull back on that, it's the exact same thing we did to them. And I agree 100%. That sends a really bad message. And that is why you need to make sure that the folks that are going to be continuing with this are 100% on board with the decisions being made, or we're going to look silly again. And I think that is a really good point. All the more reason to wait, because we could destroy a lot of relationships here by pulling back like we did again. And we were lucky that Steer and Nagel are very determined to preserve this property. and that they came back forward, but you may not get the same thing from Lamb's Landing. The other thing that I want to point out is this isn't an argument on whether or not we need development. I think we're forgetting that here. This is an argument on whether or not we're preserving history. You heard that the proposal to save this house means absolutely nothing. You might as well just tear down the house if you're not saving the whole property. You guys are losing track on this. It means absolutely nothing to save the house. I think these proposals are even more worthless now to even pretend to save the house when it means absolutely nothing. The argument isn't over whether or not we need development. The argument is over whether or not we're going to destroy history and whether or not that we are going to try to hold on to that and have something unique that Columbus has.
Alder Gray.
All right, so I think there's a motion and a second on the table, and unless somebody has something new to say, I would move that we take a roll call.
And I would like to make sure, Council President, that everybody is done with the discussion before we do that, per the League of Municipalities. You can't just decide when to end a conversation.
Are there any further comments or questions? Any other comments or questions? I'm going to ask one more time. Okay, and we do have a motion and a second on the table. Susan, could I have a roll call?
Sure. Motive.
Aye.
Gray.
Aye.
Relke.
Nay.
Reed.
Nay.
Steiner.
Aye.
Finkler.
Nay.
We have 3 ayes, 3 nays.
We're in a committee of the whole, Mayor.
Yeah.
Mayor gets the vote here.
Hammer.
Aye.
4 yeas, 3 nays. To move forward with Lamps Landing proposal to council.
One second, I lost my place. That leaves us with discussion on the, thank you very much, changes to the Cable Commission ordinance.
I've included the ordinance makeup, the section of the ordinance that talks about the makeup. It consists of 5 members. 1 member is a member of council, 1 member should be appointed by the Columbus School Board, and the remaining 3 members shall be residents of the city of Columbus. There is a letter included in your packet from the Columbus School District asking to relinquish their designated seat on the Cable Commission. So I think we want direction on what the ordinance should be revised to, if you're willing to accept the school district's request, so that Paul can draft something and bring forward to the next council meeting.
Just a statement that after meeting with Jacob and that they wish to relinquish their designated seat, it would be, do we want this just to be a citizen at large like the other 3 members, or is there, some other designation that council would be looking for? So
I would urge, just as the alder sitting with the Cable Commission, that we do accept that resignation, because the infrequency with which their designee attends really can hamstring the Cable Commission in having quorum. So there have been a number of times where we haven't been able to meet for multiple months because we had things going on and just couldn't meet the quorum without him. So that's my piece on that. Alder Motive?
I support accepting the resignation, and then I'd like to recommend that we have another citizen on the commission.
Thank you. Alder Gray?
I agree with Alder Motive, and for much of the same reason. I think not just this commission, many of our commissions, committees, boards, all of them they can be difficult to have quorums at times, they can be difficult to fill. I personally feel the less requirements we have on specific members to be a member, the better. So
Is everybody comfortable with moving forward with that direction? Okay. In that case, all that's left is to adjourn.
Move.
Second.
I have a motion from Alder Finkler, a second from Alder Gray. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.